This is Nicholas from joyfulartist.org. I am going to be illustrating or doing some coloring of my a scene that I'm doing for one of my graphic novels, and I hope everybody's doing good. And this is my main character that I showed you before in the past, Stacy. She's like one of the main characters in my graphic novels. This is the Blick marker that I'm using. It's somewhat good. I have to get better at my coloring in different things. If anybody's wondering, I go to a scanner. I use a scanner to scan the images in when it's finished. I haven't really got good at Adobe Illustrator yet, but that's something I plan to do in the future. This is a scene in New York City when she's on the train with one of her friends, Chris. This is a bigger version of it. I don't know if you can see the metro doors behind. I grew up in DC. I just love, being on the train, and I used to go to New York a lot, and it was the same thing. Just the train, being on the train, I get a lot of inspiration for drawing that might not always come in a normal situation, you know. So I get a lot of inspiration from drawing on the train because there's so many different people. Now DC is starting to look more like New York when it comes to the metro and it comes to downtown. They've been building up a lot of stuff in the city, and it's making it look very different from what it did when I was little. And if you guys don't know, this is a watercolor pencil I'm using. I get all of my supplies from the Blick Art Store, and I plan on possibly in the future, messing with airbrush just to see if the colors will look different. But as for now, I'm using like watercolor pencils and markers. But this is his a scene of them in the New York City train. These are like the pillars right here, just so you can see what it looks like. New York was used to be a lot of fun. I don't really remember the pizza that I used to get there when I would go on my own on the mega bus, but I'm sure it was pretty good. Like New York is known for pizza, and I remember going to the Starbucks, and that's another area I get a lot of inspiration for illustrations and drawing. Is sitting in the Starbucks. There's so many different people that come to Starbucks in the course of a day, and you can observe and be inspired by a lot of stuff that you see in the Starbucks as well as on the train. So a lot of cuckoo for cocoa puffs come on the trains. There's a lot of people that's a little bit off in the mind that come on the train, and it's just so many different people. So I always have the urge to draw when I'm on the train with my sketchbook, unless it's a day when I'm really tired. You know. I plan on doing animated films in the future. That's like the biggest goal, to be able to do animated cartoons in the future. But as for now, I've been working with graphic novel art. And if any of you guys know anything about graphic novel art, you can find it online or in comic book stores. And I don't really like to call it comic books. I don't really like that word. I really just, like calling it graphic novel art, but, to each his own. Everybody has their different spill about things, but it's a graphic novel art is a way to express different ideas that you have, like different stories you want to tell. Growing up, I was always fascinated by a lot of storytelling. I used to watch Dragon Ball Z. I don't know how many people used to watch that when I was a kid. And I used to watch Courage the Cowardly Dog. I mean, I would spend hours watching cartoons. I mean, my parents made us read a lot of books growing up, but we also watched a lot of TV. So I got a lot of stories in when I was a kid, and I just remember being fascinated by all the different characters and stuff. So Stacy is more of a city kid, and in New York. New York is a really big city. I remember going there when I was a kid, or not as a kid, but when I was became a grown up, I used to go on the train and would be going all over the city. I went to the Trump Tower. Didn't really care much for that. It was just nice to see what it looked like. And I remember everywhere I went, people was trying to sell me stuff. And this is my character, Chris. He sells sneakers and different things on the train. You see a lot of that in New York. Uh, you see a lot of people selling for everything from watches to DVDs. It's a very interesting city. It's a very interesting city, and you'll be inspired by all the hustle that you see. It make you want to be an entrepreneur being up there. And I can say personally, other than New York City, when I lived in LA, LA was pretty, full of hustle as well. A lot of people trying to sell you something in LA is just like it was in New York. But New York, I guess because their rent is so high there and it's so expensive to live, everybody's has to get out there and find additional ways to make income. And this is one area that you can make income. You could come up with an ebook. Some people, that's a really good hustle. Some people like to write. You could create an ebook, or you could do something on Fiverr.com and be a ghostwriter. And write books for other people. That's additional way to make money in the digital world. You know. When I was in New York, I just was just really amazed how much how fast paced it was when I would go up there. I used to go up there when I first got out of high school on the mega bus. It would be like $25. It was a really really fun experience going up there. When I remember going in high school, but it was different because we was timed and we had to be back at the bus at a certain time, and we had to stay with a group. But I remember going up there on my own, and man, was it an adventure, guys! It was a lot of fun experiencing that type of fast-paced situation. Because DC is starting to get like that, but it's not at the same level, as New York. New York, I feel like, is the busiest city in America, and just wanted to share with you guys this scene from the New York train in my graphic novel about Stacy and her friend Chris. It's gonna be my graphic novel gonna be coming out in the end of November. It'll be available on joyfulartist.org. I will keep you guys posted, and everyone have a good day and pursue your dreams.